This happened quite a while back. However, as yet, something sticks with me. This all happened like a grouping. No one can say with any certainty in the event that things should occur for an explanation, or on the other hand, on the off chance that some obscure external power impacts it. On the whole, a history. My companion, we should call her Jenny, was a lively, joyful young lady. She rode one of them groin rocket bicycles and cherished riding it, continuously up for previously unheard of things. She accepted a position as a safety officer for a club I worked at. She was consistently that beam of daylight that would bring you up, assuming you were having a terrible day. In any event, when she was feeling down, she generally made it a highlight to ensure you were feeling improved. Following a year, she was elevated to a gaming official position. She was truly blissful, as this was a passage highlighting getting into the higher-up workplaces. She would tell me frequently that assuming she got in, she would attempt to get me in with her. I dealt with the floor, paying out big stakes and getting change for gamers. Not long after her advancement, she began acting entertainingly. Not such a lot of individuals saw it immediately, however, enough that I saw it. She would come to work tired or arrive behind schedule, yet never said why. I saw her disposition change too. She was more jittery and wary than typical. Once during a discussion we were having on the floor, she halted and just, as I originally suspected, gazed at me. I understood after some time that she wasn't gazing at me. However, behind me, I turned and didn't yet see anything. She appeared to wake up after a little and got over it by losing her track of thought. I never addressed it at that point. On one occasion, she came in 2 hours late. She was excessively troubled. He had really searched me out on the floor to check whether I could snag her. At the point when she came in, she looked worn out. She was unkempt, loose red eyes, and nervous. At the point when addressed by her boss, she put it as a late evening out on the town. At the point when she came to the floor, she pulled me to the side and requested to get together after work. We met at Denny's, and she continued to let me know what was happening. She, as she put it, was having unusual crap happen to her. It began nuance from the get-go. A chill here, a clamor there, nothing she was unable to rationalize. Yet, over time, things got more unusual. The chills got colder, the clamors got stronger and more incessant. Things were never where she left them. Then it began occurring at work. Her work area was constantly reworked from how she left it. She felt that somebody was screwing with her. In any event, voicing her anxiety, yet no one at any point approached. At the point when she was strolling the floor, she would feel a tap on her shoulder or a pull on her shirt with no one around. At the point when she would stroll to her office, which was situated close to the uniform room, in a less dead region of the structure, she generally heard strides in accordance with hers, as though somebody was strolling right behind her. She was reluctant to involve the bathrooms, also assuming nobody was with her. It was there one day, she said, she got terrified, noting the call of nature she had recently started when, she said, there was a solitary, light thump on the slow-down entryway. She had declared herself in the slow-down when somebody thumped once more, this time 2 of them, stronger than the first. She had said she was utilizing it, and to utilize one more when the entryway started to shake, as though somebody was wiggling the handle. Then it halted. She said she was going to get up when, regrettably, the sliding lock started to gradually move, opening itself. Jenny said she flung the entryway open. Nobody was there. At the point when she escaped the slowdown, nobody was in there. She was going to leave while moving in the direction of the slows down. She said she saw a dim mass, humanoid looking out behind the furthest slowdown. She said she has seen it frequently since. The day she was truly late, she said she was awoken from her rest. It was night. Her room was dull, and she was unable to talk nor move. She attempted as well, she told me, yet proved unable. What's more, she had a feared feeling like she was in good company. The main thing she could move was her eyes. She reviewed, and she ended up turning upward with them, seeing this humanoid mass looking directly down at her, a weak gleam where eyes would be. She said she shut her eyes and had the option to shout, at long last dealing with her body. She leaped up and attempted to turn on the light close to her bed. However, it wouldn't work. The mass then begun to come toward her, hindering her room entryway. She said she ran into the storeroom and shut it. The light in the wardrobe worked. She said she feared opening the entryway. She heard it moving around the room. She nodded off in there, not waking till late in the first part of the day, got immediately dressed and came in. Consequently, her appearance, the last 7-day stretch of her life, she remained with me. In spite of the odd event at work, nothing at any point occurred at my place. She was quiet. Once more, she was resting and eating, and on her days off, she detailed nothing occurring. The day she died was one of the strangest and scariest days of my life. It started with me going in like normal. I came in at 8, and Jenny came in an hour later. Things were pretty normal, and at 12 we went to lunch. During lunch, she told me she was going to go back to her place. The last week was pretty good, and she hoped that whatever it was had finally left her alone. After that, we went back to our posts. About half an hour after lunch, my supervisor calls me in the office and says one of the swing shift people called out and asked if I could pull a double. If I agreed, I could take the next day off or come in and get the overtime. So I agreed. At around the same time, Jenny was asked to stay a few hours more as one of her co-workers had suddenly gotten ill in the stomach and had to go. So she agreed. After that, I got the strangest feeling like I was being watched. Couldn't explain it. I felt someone was staring at me in empty parts of the floor. Jenny told me she started to feel like a weight was being lifted off her, but she also felt like I was in trouble somehow. She said something in the back of her head that said that someone was mad at me, like they hated me, but she didn't know who, nor could she explain why it was that specific feeling. My second shift started, and her extra hours started like this. Some of my co-workers reported feeling uneasy around me, while Jenny said that she was becoming like her old self again. When Jenny was getting ready to end her shift at 11 in the evening that night, I took my final break to say goodbye. As I was getting out an hour after her, she said she felt free in what seemed like forever. She wanted to enjoy her ride home. She said she would text me when she made it. We hugged, and I saw her off for what would be the last time. Needing to get back on the floor, I had the call of nature beckoning me, but I decided I could hold it, or so I thought. As I was making my rounds, that urge came at me strongly, literally forcing me to make a mad rush to the employee restroom. I ran in and got the nearest urinal. Relieved, I washed my hands and started to leave when a light, soft knock came from the direction of the stalls. There, peeking out from the farthest stall, was a black mass, humanoid looking, with a soft glow where the eyes should be. I blinked and it was gone. I stood frozen there, literally trying to rationalize if I saw something or not. I looked at the time on my phone. 20 minutes had passed since Jenny left. I looked up, and there it was again. Only this time, I got this really bad feeling that something was wrong, and I bolted out of there. That image was burned into my memory, and has been ever since. I called Jenny, but it went to voicemail. I finished the rest of my shift with that dreaded feeling. After work, I went home and tried calling again. Voicemail. I left her a message to get back to me ASAP. That feeling stayed with me till I fell asleep. My sister broke the news to me that morning. Her boyfriend was an EMT that responded to an accident call. He, Jenny and I, as well as my sister, had all gone to high school together. Being the one that took the call, he was shocked to find her off the road, about 40 feet to be exact, dead with a broken neck. She had hit the safeguard, this metal piece that curved with the road. He thought it weird that she would have landed 40 feet away, seeing that the speed limit at the turn was only 20, and that later it was determined that she hit it going 10 miles an hour. No alcohol nor drugs were found in her system, so they thought that she probably fell asleep, and when she hit, she landed neck first and slid to a halt. Though I was later told by my sister's boyfriend that when he got there, he didn't see anything that looked like she slid. The ground, he remembered, was undisturbed. This has haunted me for a while now. A few weeks ago, I dreamed Jenny was talking to me. I couldn't hear her, and she had this blank, almost emotionless expression. She then points behind me, and there it is, the thing I saw the day my friend died. I am by no means an artist or a painter. Hell, I can hardly draw, but after that dream, I had to try to depict what I saw in the restroom all those years ago. This is the closest I've gotten to it. One more thing I forgot to mention. When a time of death was given, it was around 11:20 p.m., about the same time I saw that fucking thing. Update. It's been years since I've been in that casino. I recently went back to my hometown, where it's located, and caught up with old friends who still work there. Apparently, that thing is following another friend of mine, like it did Jenny. My friend suffered a nervous breakdown during his shift. The girl I spoke to said he was always acting weirder than normal, culminating in his screaming and ranting about the shadow that won't leave him alone. Only a close few people know about what Jenny went through and what I experienced, and the girl I spoke to was one of them. She mentioned that other things have been happening. My brother, who started security there a few years ago, mentioned something creepy he once witnessed. The security team usually has a driver who drives around the property to make sure the parking areas and back part of the casino is safe. Behind the casino are these dumpster areas that the food and beverage and custodial teams use. Well, my brother tells me that one night he went on break. There is a deck region outside that representatives use to sit outside or to smoke. There is a wall around it. However, on the opposite side is the dumpsters. He goes to the porch with one of the food and drink young ladies smoke. During this time, they hear faint crying simultaneously. Over his radio, he hears the transporter bringing in a female. He spots crying toward the edge of the dumpsters. He says the driver portrays her as short, long, dim hair, blue sweater and pants without any shoes on. She's hunkered in the corner, back to him, crying as he said clearly. My sibling, obviously being on the contrary side of the wall, can scarcely hear crying. Indeed, he then says the driver calls it into observation. There are 2 cameras that point that way, one seeing that specific corner quite well. After he calls it in, reconnaissance hits him up, getting some information about. This is the way he put it. Sir, what are you calling in again? Drish, a female in the corner of the dumpsters crying. She's not responding to my calls. Sir, okay, we see you. We don't see a girl. Dry. What do you mean? She's right in front of me. Sir, no sir. All we see is you. No one else. Dry. Are you serious? You really don't see the girl right here? Sir, no sir. If you're joking, then it's a bad one, not to mention a waste of our time. That is about the time my sibling says the crying halted, trailed by a scream from the driver and him wearing elastic out of there. My sibling proceeded to say that the driver was apparently shaken and shudder at the point when squeezed by his boss about what occurred. He related that after observation said she wasn't there. She quit crying and stood up, her head falling back like it had no neck bones, and afterward began to stroll towards him, however in reverse, with her head hanging side to side. He screeched and left. What was upsetting too to my sibling was that later, the driver said that when her head fell back, it had no face. I should say some frightening poo is happening there. However, I wonder, the manner in which he depicted the young lady, I keep thinking about whether it was Jenny, despite the fact that she didn't bite the dust at the gambling club. I keep thinking about whether that thing is keeping her caught there.